Hello friends, I hope you are all fine. Today is a story about the death of a government clerk. It is written by Anton Chekhov. So let's start. One fine evening, a no less fine government clerk called Ivan Mitrovich Chevarkio was sitting in the second row of the stalls, gazing through an opera glass at the closes. He gazed and felt at the ache of bliss. But suddenly, in his stories, one of often meets with his. But suddenly, the authors are right. Life is so full of surprises. But suddenly, his face plucked up, his eyes disappeared, his breathing was arrested. He took the opera glass from his eyes, bent over, and Achie, he sneezed. As you perceive, it is not reasonable for anyone to sneeze anywhere. Patients sneeze, and so do police superintendents, and sometimes even privy councillors. All men sneeze. Chivarkyu was not in the least confused. He wiped his face with his handkerchief, and like a polite man, looked around to see whether he had disturbed anyone by his sneezing. But then he was overcome with confusion. He saw that an old gentleman sitting in front of him in the first row of the stall was carefully whipping his bald hair and his neck with his glove and muttering something to himself. In the old gentleman, Chivarkyu recognized Resolve, a civilian general serving in the Department of Transport. I have spattered him, thought Chivarkyu. He's not the head of my department, but still it is a backward. I must apologize. Chivarkyu gave a cough, bent his whole person forward, and whispered in the general air, "Pardon, Your Excellency, I spattered your accidentally." Never mind. For goodness sake, excuse me. I did not mean to. Oh, please sit down. Let me listen. Chivarkyu was embarrassed. He smiled stupidly and fell to gazing at the stage. He gazed at it but was no longer feeling bliss. He began to be troubled by uneasiness. In the interval, he went to Resolve, walked beside him, and overcoming his shyness, muttered, "I spattered you. Your Excellency, forgive me. You see, I didn't do it too. Oh, that's enough. I have forgotten it, and you keep on about it," said the general, moving his lower lip immediately. "He has forgotten, but there is a fiendish light in his eyes," thought Chivarkyu, looking suspiciously at the general, "and he doesn't want to talk. I would to explain to him that I really didn't intend. That is the law of nature, or else he will think mean to spit on him. He doesn't think so now, but he will think so later." On getting home, Chivarkyu told his wife of his breach of good manner. He struck him that his wife took too frivol a view of the incident. She was a little frightened, but when she learned the Resolve was in a different department, she was resolved. "Still, you had better go and apologize," she said, "or he will think you don't know how to behave in public." "That's just it. I did apologize, but he took in somehow curely. He didn't say a word of sense. There wasn't time to talk properly." Next day, Chivarkyu put on a new uniform, had his hair cut, and went to Resolve to explain. Going into the general reception room, he saw that there a number of peoples, and among them the general himself, who was beginning to interview them. After questioning several petitioners, the general raised his eyes and looked at the Chivarkyu. Yesterday at the Arcadia, if you recollect, Your Excellency, the letter began. I sneezed and accidentally spat. What nonsense! It is beyond anything. What can I do for you? Said the general, addressing the next petitioners. He only speak, thought Chivarkyu, turning pale. That means that he's angry. No, it can't be left like this. I will explain to him. When the general had finished his conversation with the last of the penitors and was turning towards his inner apartment, Chivarkyu took a step towards him and muttered, Your Excellency, if I venture to trouble Your Excellency, it is simply from a feeling, I may say, of regret. It was not intentional. If you will graciously believe me. The general made a lachrymose face and waved his hand. Why, you are simply making fun of me, sir, he said as he closed the door behind him. Where's the making fun it? Thought Chivarkyu. There is nothing of the sort. He is a general, but he can't understand if that is how it is. I'm not going to apologize to that fan anymore. The devil take him. I will write a letter to him, but I won't go. By Jove, I won't. So thought Chivarkyu as he walked home. He didn't write a letter to the general. He pondered and could not make up that letter. He had go to next day to explain in person. I ventured to disturb Your Excellency yesterday, he muttered when the general lifted inquiring eyes upon him. Not to make fun, as you were pleased to say. I was apologizing for having spattered you in sneezing, and I did not dream of making fun of you. Should I dare to make fun of you? If we should take to making fun, then there would be no respect of person. There would be. Be off! yelled the general, turning suddenly purple and shaking all over. What? asked Chivarkyu in a whisper, turning numb with horror. Be off! repeated the general, stamping. Something seemed to give way in Chivarkyu's stomach. Seeing nothing and hearing nothing, he reeled to the door, went out into the street and went staggering along, reaching home mechanically without taking off his uniform. He lay down on the sofa and died. Thanks for watching.